As a result, I'm happy to report that things are much, much better for us on the money front. We now work together on our finances, and instead of making assumptions about how the other one feels, we put our heads together and we bounce ideas off each other. In short, we've learned to make a priority of discussing our finances and planning our financial goals and dreams together. Doing this changes everything. It ends the fights and it focuses the energy of a relationship on the positive instead of on the problems. Looking back, it's not surprising that as newlyweds, Michelle and I had a hard time figuring out how to handle our finances. Even though we both had financial backgrounds, we had never taken a class or gotten any coaching about how to manage money as a couple. As a result, neither of us had ever thought about how different things become when you go from being two single people managing your own money separately as individuals to a couple managing your money together. Needless to say, what Michelle and I went through was hardly unique. Most couples have never been taught how to plan their financial future together. As a result, most couples rarely talk about money, unless they're fighting about it. My goal with this program is to change that. Having been a financial advisor for nearly 10 years and a husband now for over 3, I'm happy to report that it's both possible and fun to become a smart couple who finishes rich. The key to being able to win financially is learning how to take the right actions in the right order. It's really not that difficult, especially when you do it together as a couple. In this 9-step program, we're going to work on how the two of you, as a couple, can both talk about and handle your money in a smart way. Whether you're just starting out or well into midlife, whether this is your first marriage or, hey, even your fourth, I'm going to show you how to get your financial goals and your personal values in sync so they and the two of you can work together to make your dreams a reality. My goal is to provide an action-oriented roadmap that will enable the two of you to take control over your finances as a couple. There are very few things in a relationship that can do more to solidify your bond and make you stronger as a couple than planning your financial future together. Think about it. Most couples decide to spend their lives together because they sincerely love each other and want to build a life together. I've never met a couple who said, "Wouldn't it be great to be together so we can fight on a regular basis about our finances?" But even though nobody wants to fight about money, the fact is that most couples do. Either that or they flat out avoid the subject. According to the experts, the number one cause of divorce in this country isn't sex, isn't religion, or even problems with those in-laws. It's fighting over money. Having advised hundreds of couples individually in my financial planning practice, I can tell you from firsthand experience that working on your money together significantly improves the chances not only of you succeeding financially, but of your staying together happily as a couple. The key is to take the journey together, not separately. This is the basic premise of this entire program. All couples should work on their finances together. When two people work together to accomplish a goal, they can usually achieve it twice as fast as either of them would have working alone. This is certainly true when it comes to your money. The sooner you start working together, the more quickly you can dramatically improve your financial picture. The key is to really believe that wherever you're starting from, no matter how bad or bleak it looks, things can and they will get better. If right now you're badly in debt or living paycheck to paycheck, I am here to tell you as someone who has personally coached thousands of people on their finances that it can and will get better if the two of you take action together. It doesn't matter whether the two of you currently earn $30,000 a year or $30,000 a month. By fundamentally changing the way you look at your finances, this 9-step trip is going to change your life. Now let's get started. Step 1. Learn the facts and myths about couples and money. John sat in my office smiling from ear to ear. Indeed, he was practically glowing. After putting in more than 40 years as a successful salesman at a printing company, he was just 2 months away from retirement. He had come to my office with Lucy, his wife of more than 30 years, to make some serious plans. Excited about getting started on this new phase of their life together, The two were interviewing me to see if I would be the right financial planner for them. As I usually do in such situations, I began the meeting by asking a simple question. With only 60 days to go, what does retirement look like to the two of you? Well, John leaned forward confidently. David, we're moving to South Carolina where we own some land, and we're going to build us a little 2-bedroom house on a lake, and I'm going fishing every day. With that, he sat back in his chair, grinning like a school kid. Lucy, however, had quite a different look on her face, sort of a combination of anger and disbelief. Glaring coldly at John as if he were a stranger she was meeting literally for the first time, she asked him, "And who are you planning to move to South Carolina with?" Now it was John's turn to look shocked. "Well, with you, of course," he said. Lucy laughed out loud. "John, if you think I'm leaving our kids, our grandchildren, and our 5-bedroom house in Danville so you can go fishing in Timbuktu, you've got to screw loose." Well, John looked at me helplessly, then turned back to Lucy. But Lucy, we bought that land in South Carolina to build our dream house on when I retire. Remember, honey?" She snapped, "John, that was 20 years ago. You haven't even mentioned that land in the last 10 years. I was hoping you'd forgotten about it." Peter and Mary sat in my office, both completely happy. The day before, after 5 years of meticulous planning, the two of them, both in their early 50s, had taken early retirement from their respective employers. They had spent the previous evening celebrating, first at his retirement party, then at hers. The excitement they both felt was contagious. They reminded me of 2 teenagers who had just graduated from high school. The couple had come to my office to take care of the paperwork for their 401k rollovers. Early in the day, they had met with their attorney and their accountant. Tomorrow they would leave to fulfill a long-held and long-planned-for dream. That dream was to move to an isolated village in Mongolia for 2 years as part of a church-sponsored program in which they would help build a new school for local children. An automatic payment program had been set up to take care of all of their bills, their retirement accounts were fully and safely invested, and their expenses were covered for the next 2 years. Their kids were in college, and the tuition payments were already arranged. Literally everything had been anticipated. Peter and Mary could not wait to catch their plane and start living out their dream. I've started our journey with these 2 contrasting stories because guess what? They're both true. Indeed, they both occurred in my office during the same week, and taken together, they truly illustrate just how differently couples can plan for their financial future. I'm confident that the first couple, John and Lucy, is not the model you want to follow. The second couple may not be your ideal either, especially if, like me, your idea of retirement isn't an isolated village in Mongolia. But the reality is that Peter and Mary's future does sound exciting. That's because it involves a dream they planned together. And now they're getting to live that dream together. You can't hear about their story without becoming excited for them. If you're in a relationship right now and have a significant other you plan to be with for a long time, it stands to reason that you want to have a bright future in which you live and finish rich together. But being smart and finishing rich doesn't just happen. It takes real action and a positive commitment on your part. There's another important part of finishing rich that many couples overlook. It's not just about the money. John and Lucy have money. What they don't have is a plan for the second half of their lives together. Although they've been married for more than 30 years, neither has a clue as to how the other expects to spend his or her golden years. John thinks he's going fishing, and Lucy wants to know who's he going fishing with. And if you think she was kidding when she asked the question, trust me, she wasn't. Having served as a financial planner for countless couples over the last 10 years, I can tell you from firsthand experience that way too many couples are like John and Lucy. They go through life without making any real plans for their future together. In many cases, they've never even discussed the subject. Each just assumes that somehow the other knows what he or she happens to want. The result is invariably a disaster. Then again, I've also seen the exact opposite. Every day I meet and work with couples who've been married for years, sometimes decades, who really do function as a team, as one. They really do communicate about their money, and they really do plan for their financial future. In other words, they are smart couples who are living and finishing rich. This is my goal for you. The truth about money management is that it's not really that difficult. If you know what to do and what not to do, it's actually pretty easy. The challenge is that we're not taught about money in school. As a result, much of what we learn about it comes from friends, word of mouth, family, and marketing. This is why a lot of otherwise smart people spend their whole lives doing the wrong thing with their money. Since so much of what people have learned about handling money is actually dead wrong, a big part of becoming a smart couple who finishes rich is about unlearning what the two of you think you know about the subject. To do this, I'm going to share with you some of the biggest myths about money and couples. By understanding these myths for what they are and learning the true facts, you will instantly be better prepared to make better decisions about your finances. One of the most common myths about couples and money is this: if we love each other, we won't fight about money. The fact is, love has nothing to do with money. It doesn't matter if you love your spouse or partner more than anything in the world. If the two of you have conflicting values about money and make financial decisions that fail to accommodate each other's feelings about the subject, the two of you are going to have a serious relationship problem. The bottom line is, love does not conquer all. If it did, then 1 out of every 2 marriages would not end in divorce. Love usually gets you to the altar and creates passion for a few years, but a solid, long-term, lasting marriage or a long-term, lasting relationship takes more than just love. So please stop for a second and consider this basic fact. How you spend money has nothing to do with how much you love each other. The two of you were probably raised differently when it came to money, and therefore you probably value and spend money differently. That's a lot of differences. So if the two of you happen to be fighting about money right now because your attitudes toward it are different, that's okay. Take a deep breath, exhale, and let it go. By the time you're done with this program, you will see how quickly and easily you can transform both your lives and your relationship merely by following the 9 steps I'm going to lay out for you. In the meantime, just remember, love's got nothing to do with finishing rich. Nothing. Another widely held myth about money is that it takes money to make money. The fact is, it takes very little money to make money, as long as you're patient and disciplined. The way I learned this incredibly important lesson was from my grandparents. My grandparents had only a few dollars a week to invest. Nonetheless, over the course of several decades, they became very wealthy. Now I can see you rolling your eyes. That was then, you say. This is now. Well, not so fast. Let's look at the numbers. The nice thing about building wealth is that it's basically a numbers game, and the rules really don't change much over time. The truth is that $1 is still worth a lot of money if you force it to grow up. I want you to do an experiment. Go down to your local coffee shop one morning, and for 1 hour, just sit down and count the number of couples buying cups of coffee. If it's a fancy franchise like, say, Starbucks, the price of a nice little cup of cappuccino is going to be about $2.50. Watch how many nice, normal people spend that much money every morning on coffee. Have you ever stopped to think about what the cost of those little cups of coffee can add up to over time? How much could you make if you spent $1 less on coffee every day and put what you saved into a good investment program? That dollar a day invested at 5% will be $1 million in 99 years. Okay, you say, that's too long. And you're right, 99 years is too long. So let's invest that same dollar a day at 15%. It will be $1 million in 40 years. Start at age 7, you're a millionaire at 47. That's what happens if you start making $1 a day work for you. Of course, you're a lot older than 7, And try as we might,